Hello and welcome to my first voiceover art process video. I have uploaded process videos before this, but this is the first time I'm doing a voiceover, and I hope I'm gonna be able to talk for about 15 minutes, so brace yourselves. This is the recording of the postcard set I made for Valentine's Day. As you can see, it's Beau and Yasha from Critical Role, who are making a little heart of string that connects the two cards, so they become a set. The sketch was done in my sketchbook, so as you can see I had to rip out the pages so I could tape the postcards on top of it. When I'm done with everything, I'll tape the pages back into the sketchbook. I'm a happy, messy sketchbook owner, so I don't mind gluing stuff back in. For tracing, I'm using a really old table. I think it's over a decade now, aging myself, but it's still holding up. And for tracing, I'm using a HB mechanical pencil, so it's a very light lead to trace over the sketch. The lines themselves don't have to be perfect, they're just a guide for me, so I know where to place the colors in the end. They're not supposed to be visible once the piece is done, so they basically just function as a light, clean sketch for me to work with. For the background, I wanted to use the colors of the lesbian flag, so orange, white and pink. The white in the middle didn't really turn out like I wanted it to be. I pulled the colors a bit too far into the center, but yeah, it is what it is. Oh, and for coloring, I'm using ink, so these aren't watercolors. I used to paint with watercolors, but I would never be able to make them look the way I wanted them. It would always become a bit muddy. And I realized the colors I bought, they would lift even after they were dried, they would still lift. And this doesn't happen with these waterproof inks, so once the layer is dry, it stays, and it's a lot more predictable and easier to work with. And if you're interested, the specific brand I'm using is Dr. P.H. Martin's Bombay India ink. The way I approach coloring with the inks is that I put down a base layer with a relatively light tone. Usually I'm basically mix the color I want, and then I use some of it with a bit of water, which lightens the color, so this will give everything an even shade. And then I use the more concentrated ink to draw in the shadows. You can see here I'm drawing the strands of Yasha's hair with a relatively thin brush to imply the hair strands. And again, for the lighter parts of her hair at the bottom, I'm using more water. I'm also curious, how do you find this video? I kind of try to edit it in a way that I would enjoy watching art content on YouTube, so I have sped up the process about 5 times and put a few cuts wherever things would get very repetitive. But I know different people might prefer different styles, so would you prefer real time with more cuts, or would you want no cuts at all but sped up? Do you enjoy me yapping over the whole footage, or would you prefer just music and just be in serene silence while watching the process? Would be really handy to know, so please let me know in the comments. I'm really curious to hear what people think. As you can also see, neither of them have their canonical clothes. I put them more into something modern, casual. I just thought it's a bit cuter for Valentine's to have them in normal clothes. So yeah, Yasha ended up getting a leather jacket and gloves and a shirt, and Beau is just, you know, wearing a gym top and a sports bra. Things that I would think they would wear if they were living in our time and world. For Beau, I added a wash as a base for her skin color because for some reason I can't seem to manage to make dark tones not blotchy if I go in directly. And obviously a blotchy face does not look great. So my solution so far is to basically add a wash, then go with a mid-tone base, and then go with the actual darker skin tone. The more layers, the less blotchy it's gonna be at the end. You might have also noticed that I'm not always coloring in all the way to the edge of the sketch. The reason is that I planned in some rim lights, like a very strong highlight coming from the back that emphasizes the silhouette of the character. So I'm basically leaving that out at the moment. Also, I hope you're noticing the washi tape I used to tape down the cards. It's Persona themed, and I got it from a friend and I love it so much. Which also makes me realize that there is no Critical Role washi tape, right? Like, yeah, what a gap in the market. I would definitely buy some cute washi tape with chibi faces. Maybe one for each campaign. To add some more blush to Beau. Even though I added some earlier, it kinda got covered up because obviously darker skin tones also require darker blush, but who am I to know this? Again, adding detail with a finer brush and a darker tone to the hair. It's also super important to make sure that the color underneath is actually dry, otherwise you won't get any sharp lines, it will become blurry. I'm also just now realizing that this video is kind of a spoiler for the Mighty Nine TV show. I guess the thumbnail and the title already gave it away, so if you're at this point, I'm really sorry. But also, this ship is very hard not to be aware of, right? Or am I just in a bubble and I ruined everyone's surprise now? I don't know. I hope you still enjoy watching the show. By the way, the ink I'm using, they don't really smudge pen unless it's water-based. So technically I could have done the line art before coloring. The reason I'm not doing that is because I like to focus on the colors and make sure the shading works by itself and doesn't really rely too much on the line art. Still adding more red shades to Beau's face to make her look more alive and in love. Also adding more color to her chin now. It was very light compared to the rest of her face. Oh, also another reason to do the line art after finishing the colors is also that the inks aren't, while they aren't opaque, they do cover the line art up a bit. And while that can be a desired effect if you want kind of colored line art, I wanted it to be proper black to give more contrast. Here again using a thin brush to add details and shadows like I did with the hair, using less water with the ink to make the color darker. Now I'm done with the inks and I'll go in with colored pencil to add some details and deepen some shadows. I'm using a set of polychromos colored pencils for this. It's especially useful for super fine details like hair or tiny corners that I missed before. You can also see I'm using purple on Yasha's hair for some color variation to make it all look a bit more interesting. Also, doing the line art at the end is a bit more forgivable, because if you don't follow the sketch exactly or you make a mistake, you might be able to change the line art a bit or cover it up with the line art. It's just another way to fix your mistakes. Also, it's really satisfying to see everything come together at the end with the line art. Like, all the time there's this lack of contrast and all of a sudden, boom, sharpness. For the line art itself, I'm using a Staedtler pigment liner, 0.3 size. It's already on the last stretch and it's getting pretty dry. That's why I had to go over the same spot so many times, but I won't throw it out before it's really dead. I also do like the rough texture it has. But yeah, in general, I did actually struggle a bit with the line art because since I couldn't really look at the picture straight on, because obviously there was a camera in the way, I had to look at it at an angle, and the desk lamp I had was reflecting on the line art, which then looked white to me while I was doing it, so I had to kind of shuffle left and right to see if the line art is good enough now or if it needs more. Going back to the Mighty 9 TV series, I love it so much. Campaign 2 was actually my favorite campaign so far. The characters are so chaotic. There's so many great dynamics. And yeah, I'm curious, have you been watching the actual campaign or only the TV show? I know watching the campaigns is quite a task. I don't know how many hours you need to invest to watch all of it. So yeah, it's great they have the TV series. This is also for me a more reasonable request to force all my friends to watch it. I'm not super happy how Yasha's braided hair turned out. This is one example that I mentioned before where the shading didn't really work to begin with and the line art is not fixing it. So yeah, the shadows and the lights on the braids don't really make sense. But I do love when you get to outline the eyes because it feels like this is the moment where the character looks alive. Now I'm cleaning the aforementioned rim light with acrylic markers. I'm using RTX markers, as you can see. Beau's light is kind of pinkish while Yasha's light is orange, so this is another method to connect the two pictures and make them look like they belong together. And here I'm going over the heart made of string. I had to go over multiple times because the markers are not super duper opaque. Now the satisfying peeling of the washi tape. Yay! I really hope you like this video. Please let me know in the comments if you have any critique, preferences about the format, so I know what to do with the next process video. Please like and subscribe. Thank you so much and see you in the next video. Bye. Bye-bye.